Let's bring in now House Minority Leader, Congressman Kevin McCarthy. Great to see you this morning, Congressman.
Thanks for having me back on the couch.
What do you make of the disconnect? The disconnect of Nancy Pelosi's trip as compared to the Biden administration's message in the wake of that trip, or the fact that she went on this trip alone. Why? What is the motivation for Nancy Pelosi?
Well, I support Nancy Pelosi going to Taiwan. I think how she went about doing it was wrong, and I think the way the administration handled it wrong. The administration didn't stand up strong to China at the beginning, so they thought they could build something bigger. The administration should have said from the very beginning, American members of Congress or Americans go to any country they want, and you're not going to dictate who we are. Instead of saying, I don't think it's a good idea. So China saw weakness once again, right, in the administration. And then Nancy Pelosi going with just Democrats only. I have never led a Codel to any other country in the world with not being bipartisan. You want to speak with one voice as America, and especially if you wanted to make a statement that we're united behind our support of Taiwan. Why wouldn't you take both parties?
Why? What's the answer to that? Why?
Well, she's the only person in Congress who ever takes Codels with just one party. Nobody else in Congress ever does that.
So let's talk about what it means. We've never seen anything quite like this. And the word is that there is concern that China's going to send one, for the first time ever, missiles over the island of Taiwan. They're within 12 miles. You saw that map. We can put it back up. They've surrounded the island. What do you think what is your takeaway from this?
Well, see, this is where the administration has played wrong again, just as he did in Afghanistan, just as he did in Ukraine. He sent the wrong message like he did to Putin. Well, if you invade a little portion of it, we should be very upfront at the very beginning. Do not send a missile across. We should set a fine line of what is right and what is wrong. If the administration was strong in their messaging, China would not push this. This is benefiting President Xi. Remember, he's changing the Constitution. He's going for a third term. He thinks he's Mao. He put himself in the Constitution. He has economic problems. So what he's doing is rallying his country around a common enemy. He's making us it. He's elevating it. With it didn't have to be this way. At the same time, we're trying to keep China away from giving weapons to Russia to fortify their fight in Ukraine. It's all wrong handled. It's just what Gates had said about Biden for 40 years. Every foreign policy decision he's made has been wrong. He handled it wrong. They're within the same party. They're not communicating. She's second in line to the presidency, and she's not communicating with the president about whether she's going and what the message ahead of time. The Democrats don't have a plan for foreign policy, but they don't have a plan to solve the inflation that they created, or the border that's a national security, or the crime they're having throughout the streets. This is why in 96 days we should change the course of America and put us back on the right track.
Yeah, I mean, you have these intel sources that are warning 2024 could be especially dangerous because they're saying that China sees a potential because Joe Biden is so weak, and now they're mad that Nancy Pelosi went over there. And you're right. Even Senator Kennedy was saying they should have taken you. They should have taken any Republican.
Had she invited me, I would have gone with her. What would that have said if the minority leader and the speaker were together? That'd be America speaking with one voice.
Even at the last minute, you would have went?
Yes. I told her. I said that to the press.
Because she invited Michael McCall.
At the last minute, she invited Michael McCall. So that's the problem. Anybody else who prepares to go on a trip invites people weeks in advance, works it out, and trips are not allowed to be, you're not allowed to go on a Codel to another country unless it's bipartisan. She's the speaker. She's the only one that changes the rules.
Well, and Congresswoman Jackie Walorski, she was killed in this car crash. Another lady who was driving, who was also in her 50s, cut across the...
Oh, yes.
Yes, cut across the median. Cops are saying hit them head on. She died, and two of her staffers in their 20s died.
Emma and Zach, her communication interstate. This is devastation to anyone who's known Jackie. You know, she came in 2012. She ran in 2010. She's a public servant. I spoke to her husband yesterday, Dean. In Congress, you become a family. Dean would come to our retreats and play music. He's a musical teacher. He's going to retire next year. Jackie just got her knee replaced. She was coming back. The two of them were missionaries in Romania. She was a reporter. She serves on Ways and Means, probably the most prestigious committee in Congress. But I had an opening in ethics, a place that nobody wants to go, but you got to have people who have integrity and I called her up first thing. Would you lead it, be the Republican leader? And it's because of the respect everybody has for her. It was devastating.
You said she's so nice, but also she could be tough.
Oh, she could be the toughest person around. If I wanted something really passed, she is passionate about what she fights. But she'd work with people across the other side of the aisle. I remember when there were problems in the military of women being harassed, she was the leader. She was down there with Michelle Obama. She was not fearful. If she believed in a mission, she was going to see it through.
So lastly, something less important, I understand, but just to finish up here, California, which you know quite well, you represent that state. So does Governor Gavin Newsom.
Not so proud about it.
He says if you're going to film a movie, don't go to conservative states. Only film in people that reflect your values. And it is liberal. You know, Hollywood's famously liberal. Do you fear that every red state's going to lose all movies?
No, because
like Georgia.
Do you know why they leave California? Because they raise the taxes and the price is too high, so you can't be profitable. But isn't that interesting? Gavin's worried about Hollywood instead of lowering the price of gasoline. As other governors waived the gas tax, he raised the gas tax. He just lost more than 300,000 people in the last year from California. That's equivalent to the city of Cleveland in 1 year. We just, for the first time in history of California, lost a congressional district. He has ended production of oil in California. He decreased it by 80,000 barrels a day.
He wants to get rid of it. No more new gas stations.
No, but you know what he did? He was buying 50,000 gallons from Putin every day. The #1 producer of oil to California is Ecuador. No, if people looked at what he has done, there's homelessness everywhere. People are leaving the state in droves. It never happened before. It used to be the Golden State. But all he cares about is Hollywood. Why doesn't he care about the working men and women of California?
Many are saying that's the background and platform of a man who's about to run for president.
Yeah, he wants to run for everything. But I think if anybody looks at his policies, he's have a hard time winning governor.
Do you think he'll run? Did you see him? Remember when Biden was on his trip and then Gavin Newsom's walking the grounds of the White House with his, jacket behind his back?
He's probably pictured himself in a movie. He thinks he's the candidate, right?
Right. He looks the part.
He does look the part.
But can he do the part? Lastly, Mitch McConnell said yesterday on Special Report, it doesn't, he's not sure they're going to win the Senate.
Well, I'm sure we're going to win the House in 96 days. And anybody wants to join us, go to takethehouse.com, because you know what? We're going to win in Rhode Island. I'm starting on a trip. I was just in South Carolina last week. I'll be in Ohio, North Carolina, Illinois. I'm going to go to 25 states just in this month. It's Take Back the House tour. People can follow along. We're going to go to 100 of different districts. This is the ability to win in every place. Think about it. Last month, we just won a seat that's 84% Hispanic, the second most Hispanic seat in the country. We have never had it before. Biden won it by 13. Obama won it by 22. Myra Flores had never run before. Her husband is a border agent. Why did she run? Because she cares about the country. She's watched it change before her eyes, and she wants to see something different.
President Trump's talking about declaring in September that he's running for president. Did that help or hurt the chances of the House and Senate going to Republicans?
I talked to President Trump. I haven't heard him say he's going to declare then. I was just talking to him yesterday. What he's focused on is winning in 22 the House and the Senate. And he's done a lot of help to make us get there. But if you look at the candidates, we're going to win in Rhode Island and Connecticut. Just this Tuesday, Juan Ciscomani just won the Republican nomination in Tucson. He immigrated from Mexico when he was 10 years old. His father still drives the city bus in Tucson. And when he was at his event for the election night, he goes, I was 2 blocks away from where I used to go help my father wash cars. Right. And only in America could now I have the opportunity to represent.
What issues are most people concerned about? Is it inflation? Is it crime? Is it the border?
Cost of living. Everything costs more because the Democrats did their American Rescue Plan, which even Steve Ratner says is the original sin of inflation. The price of gas. We're going to make this country energy independent, lower the price down. What you're going to see, too, is crime. I'm going to do a round table today. We're watching crime spike. Why? Defunding the police. We're going to fund the police. We're going to give them bonuses to go to work. We're going to stop these prosecutors from not upholding the law equally all across. Make our streets and cities safe again. Securing our border. That's a national security. Fentanyl is now the #1 killer of Americans between the ages of 18 and 45.
But the big question is, can you do that without the Senate, and can you do that without the White House?
I promise you one thing. You won't worry about the filibuster again. We'll get it out of the House. We'll put it on the Senate desk. But the other important thing is, if we do win the Senate, we can use reconciliation in the other direction and send it to the president's desk. But we can bring jobs. Why are we dependent on China? Why don't we bring those jobs, especially what they're doing in Taiwan, back to America?
But by you send that to the president's desk, we'll just sit there. But
look, everybody said this in '94 too, and what happened to Bill Clinton? I believe in this. I believe in this country that we are exceptional because we're conceived in liberty and dedicate the proposition that we're all equal. Why do we see people re-registering to Republican? Why do we see the Hispanic Party leaving the Democrats, the Asian? Because they care about the country. It's not about party. It's about putting this country back on the right track. And I believe if we send a clear message in 96 days, it won't just die in the House. It will be propelled because the power of the people to the Senate and to the president's desk, and let's change the course.
Well, he's not going to lead it in the locker room, that's for sure. You're going to fight through it, run through the tape. Thanks so much, Congressman.
Thank you, Congressman.
Subscribe to the Fox News YouTube channel to catch our nightly opens, stories that are changing the world and changing your life. From Tucker Carlson tonight.